Hello students, this video will be helpful for you to know about adoption. Objectives of this video, we are going to learn about definition, need for child adoption, eligible couples to adopt child in India, eligible child to be adopted, steps for adopting child in India, laws governing adoption in children, types of adoption, what does a child gain from adoption. These are the things we are going to learn under adoption in this video. First definition. Adoption is a process whereby a person assumes the parenting of another. It is not their child, they assume the parenting of another child, usually a child from the person's biological parent or legal parent or parents. Permanently transfer all rights and responsibilities along with violations from biological parent or parents. So they can adopt a child from a single parent or a parents. Okay. So this adoption, they do it under legally. Okay, with the rights and responsibilities along with filation. Okay. So next, why is a child adoption? So desire to give a child to a family, to help a child to have a better life, to balance population growth, ability to fulfill dreams of a child, provide a loving home to a child, receiving the joy and blessing of adding a child to their family. So these are the reasons a child gets adopted. Okay. Desire to give a child to the family and help a child to have a better life, balance population growth, ability to fulfill dreams of a child, provide a loving home to a child, and receive joy and blessing of adding a child to their family. So, who are called the eligible couples in India to adopt a child? In India, the adoption process is monitored by Central Adoption Resource Authority, that is CARA, which is the nodal agency to monitor and regulate in-country and intra-country adoption and is a part of Ministry of Women and Child Care. A couple cannot have a cumulative age of more than 110 years. Cumulative means the addition of the mother and the father age. Okay, so both the age, if they are adding, it should not exceed 110 years. So they should be less than that to adopt a child. The age difference between the child and the adoptive parent should not be less than 25 years. Okay, so it can be more than 25 years, not less than 25 years. For example, if a child is 1 year, the parent should be at least 26 years to raise the child. So there should be a 25 years of gap between the child and the adoptive parents. The prospective adoptive parents should be physically, mentally, and emotionally stable, financially capable, and should not have any life-threatening medical condition. So if we are promising a child that we are going to give a life to that child, we should be physically, mentally, and emotionally stable. Okay, and no life-threatening medical condition. A child in India can be adopted by an Indian citizen, that is NRI, and a single female is eligible to adopt a child of any gender. In case of a couple, the consent of both spouses shall be required. In case a couple is adopting a child, they should have completed at least 2 years of stable marriage and they should have a joint consensus for adoption of the child. So both the husband and the wife should be agreeing for the adoption. As per the guidelines of Central Government of India, any orphan, abandoned or surrendered child declared legally free for adoption by the Child Welfare Committee is eligible for the adoption. So who are all the child eligible for adoption? Whichever child, okay, are declared legally free for adoption by the Child Welfare Committee, then only we can say the child can be adopted. A child is said to be an orphan when the child is without a legal parent or a guardian, or the parents are not capable of taking care of the child anymore. So in that condition we can say the child is orphan. What condition? No legal parent, no guardian, Otherwise, if the parent is not capable of taking care of the child, maybe because of the disease or because of poverty or any reason, okay, that case you can say the child as orphan. In order to be adopted, a child need to be legally free. On the receipt of the abandoned child, the district child population unit puts up an alert with the child photographs and details in the statewide newspapers and request the local police to trace the parents. The child is considered legally free for adoption only after the police has given a report stating that parents of the child are not traceable. Okay, so the district child protection, what they do is they put the child's photograph and details in the newspaper and everything. Okay, then the local police, they will go and search for the parents, and if the local police are giving the written statement or reporting that the child parents are not traceable, only then the district child protection will say or certify that the child is legally free. Next, we'll go on to the steps for adopting child in India. We have first step is registration. Okay, the procedure for adoption in child in India can be understood in the following steps. We have about 9 steps in for adopting a child in India. Okay, the steps are registration, home study and counseling, referral of the child, filing of petition, pre-adoption foster care, court hearing, court order, and follow-up. So these are the 9 steps. We'll see one by one. The step 1 is registration. Prospective adoptive parents need to get registered with an authorized agency, recognized Indian placement agencies, and special adoption agencies are the two agencies which are allowed to make such registration in India. Okay, so the other agencies are only illegal. So the legal agencies are recognized Indian placement agencies and special adoption agencies. The prospective adoptive parents can visit the adoption coordination agency in their area, where the social worker will explain the process and take you through the formalities, paperwork, and general preparation required for registration. Step 2 is a home study and counseling. A social worker for the registration agencies will make a visit to the home of the adoptive parent in order to do a home study. So whoever wants to adopt, their home they will go and see. Okay, whether they have a good home, whether they have an adequate facilities in their home. So if at all a child is going to live here, whether the child has every rights to be taken care, right? The child has the right to live freely, right for emotional well-being, right for physical well-being and everything. So if you want to adopt a child, all the rights you should be giving, and you should be well enough to take care of the child. So the social worker so goes and visit that particular couples who wanted to adopt a child, and as per CARA, that is Central Adoption Resource Authority, the home study needs to be completed within 3 months from the date of registration. Okay, so the social worker will finish the home study within 3 months. Next, step 3 is the referral of the child. Once the parents are comfortable with the child, they will have to sign a few documents pertaining to the acceptance of the child. Okay. Next is filing of the petition. Step 5. All necessary documents are to be submitted to the lawyer who prepares the petition to be presented to the court. Once the petition is ready, then the adopting parents will have to visit the court and sign the petition in front of the court officer. And step 6, adoption for pre-adoption foster care. Once the petition is signed in the court, the adoptive parents can take the child to a pre-adoption foster care center and understand the habits of the child from the nursing staff before taking the child home. Okay, so the parents will go and visit where the child is living. Okay, it may be a pre-adoption foster care. In that, they will go and visit and learn from the nursing staffs about the habits of the child. Step 7, court hearing. The parents have to attend a court hearing along with the child. The hearing is held in a closed room with the judge. The judge may ask a few questions and will mention the amount which needs to be invested in the name of the child. Step 8, court order. Once the receipt of the investment is made. So once the receipt of the investment means the judge will tell you this much amount you have to show in your account. So if that is receipt is ready, then the judge shall pass the adoption orders. Step 9, follow up. Post completion of adoption, the agency needs to submit follow up reports to the court on child's well-being. This may continue 1 to 2 years. Okay, so the agency, so the whichever agency, that is the CARA or SPA. Okay, so those agencies, they will have to submit follow up to the court for 1 to 2 years. So how they will submit is by going personally to the home where the child is being adopted and see and take a report from there, and then they will submit the report to the court. This is about these steps for adopting child in India. Okay. The next is laws governing adoption in India. First is Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, HAMA, was enacted in India in 1956 as a part of Hindu Code Bills. Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act of 1956 deals specifically with the legal process of adopting children by a Hindu adult and with legal obligations of a Hindu to provide a maintenance to various family members including their wife, parents and in-laws. Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of the Child Act in 2015. Indian citizens who are Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs are allowed to adopt a child formally, and the adoption is as per Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act of 1956, which was enacted as part of Hindu Code Bill. Adoption was just abandoned, surrendered and abused children is governed by Juvenile Justice, that is Care and Protection of Children Act in 2015. The next act is Guardian and the Watts Act. This Guardian and Watts Act of 1980 was a law to supersede all other laws regarding the same. It became the only non-religious and universal law regarding the guardianship of a child. It is applicable to all India except Jammu and Kashmir. This law is particularly outlined for Muslims, Christians, Pharisees and Jews, as their personal law don't allow for full adoption but only guardianship. It applies to all children regardless of race or creed. Types of adoption. This is about the adoption related laws in India. Okay, next is the types of adoption. We have about 6 types of adoption, that is open adoption, semi-open adoption, closed adoption, intra-family adoption, domestic adoption, international adoption. We'll see one by one what is all the adoption and what are their advantages and the disadvantages for each type. First is open adoption. In an open adoption, the adopted child can access their records relating to her adoption. Access is generally granted when the child reaches adult age of 18 years in most countries. In an open adoption, the birth mother can also have access to the child even after adoption. She is allowed to visit the child, communicate with her, etc. However, this depends on both parties. Another feature of open adoption is that the mother may meet prospective adoptive parents and decide which couple should adopt her baby. Okay, so open adoption is actually favoring the whoever is donating the child. Okay, so favoring them. Okay, and they can decide whether to whom to give my child. Okay. Advantages of open adoption: medical information available to the adopted child, which is very important to assess some genetic disorders and other medical purposes. They adopt access to his birth parents in case he wishes to find the need to know why they took such a decision. And the adoptee has an extended family and more people who love and support him. The adoption has access to his ancestry and lineage. Disadvantages: there may be a difference in expectation from adoptive or birth parents. The moral and the values of both families may not match. This may cause confusion. Okay, so there is two families here, adoptive family and the birth parents family. Okay, so the child is living now in with the adoptive family, okay, who are their who is their adoptive parents. But if the child is going to access to his biological parents, if the child get is going to have communication with the biological parents, and the child may have different confusions with the two families. Okay, this family will follow one culture, the other family will follow the other culture, so there may be causing confusion and sometimes quarrels also. Next is a semi-open adoption. Semi-open adoption is similar to an open adoption, except that the birth mother does not have any physical contact with the child after adoption. Prior to the adoption, the mother is permitted to meet the adoptive parents. After the child is placed with them, she may continue to receive letters and photographs of child either directly or through adoption agencies registered with. This may be for a few years until the child reaches adulthood. At any point, semi-open adoption may evolve into an open adoption or closed type of adoption. Okay, so they basically what they say here, till the child is given to the adopted family, she can have direct access with the adoptive parents. But once the child reaches the adoptive parents, she will only receive the letters and photographs of the child through, directly from the parents or from through the registration. Okay, so she cannot directly meet the child after that. And this semi-open adoption may become open or closed adoption at any time. Advantages: adoptive parents have access to medical records and other information of the birth parents. This kind of adoption helps to maintain your privacy. Birthing parents have information on how their child is taken care of. Adoptees may contact birthing parents in future. Disadvantages: both parties have to rely on mediator agencies. A semi-open adoption may become closed adoption in case the adoption agency goes out of business or stops functioning. The communication may stop if either of the party loses contact with the agencies. So this is about the advantages and the disadvantages of the semi-open adoption. The third one is the closed adoption. Closed adoption refer to an adoption process where there is absolute no contact between mother and the adoptive parents, neither before nor after the adoption. A closed adoption can occur by choice or according to the adoption laws in the country. And most close adoptions promote the sharing of relevant information such as medical records. Advantages of the closed adoption: the adoptee will not feel torn between two families. There is a sense of closure for both the set of parents. Adoptee will have a close knit family. There will not be any intrusion from the birth parents. Disadvantages: the child, on knowing that he is adopted by, may become obsessed with finding birth parents in case of a closed adoption, because we are not permitting anything and we are not revealing anything about the birth parents in the closed adoption. Completely no disclosure about. Okay, in semi-open adoption, at least till the adoption time, the mother is able to contact the child and the adopting parents, but after that only she will not be allowed. But in closed adoption, neither before nor after, this adoptive parents and the birthing parents are not allowed to meet each other, so that the child will not know from where he is. So sometimes when he becomes adult, he may become obsessed with finding the birth parents. This may be limited medical There may be limited medical information available, and the adoptee may face an identity crisis. Fourth is the intra-family adoption or relative adoption. Adoption, as the name implies, adoption can be undertaken even within a family. Intra-family adoption commonly refers to a child being legally adopted by a step-parent after the biological parent has remarried. An intra-family adoption may also occur when the child's parent die or incapable of caring for the child. At this age, an eligible family member may step in and offer to adopt a child. The advantage of an intra-family adoption is that the child is not completely uprooted from her culture and surroundings. This is especially important for older children. Advantages: the child stays within the biological family, the child adoptive parents are in full control of taking various important decisions concerning the child. The adopted child in most cases gets to keep his original name. Disadvantages: the change in relation to the adoptive parents may confuse the child in case the child is old enough. The time to contact and visitations are usually decided by the adoptive parents. Next is domestic adoption. Domestic adoption refers to an adoption involving a mother and adoptive parents who are citizens of the same country. This type of adoption may also be referred to as intra-country adoption. In this process, a couple wishing to adopt a child will register themselves with a government recognized agency. After registration, their personal details will be checked and the investigating officer will certify if they are eligible to adopt a child. Advantages: this type of adoption is less expensive as compared to the international adoption. It also involves lesser paperwork in contrast to international adoption. The couples who intend on adopting a newborn baby may adopt him easily. The information of the birth parents may be accessible to the adoptive parents. You may keep in contact with birth parents, or the contact may vary as per the requirements of both the parties. Disadvantages: there may not be enough information on the medical history of the birth parents. The rules are very strict and the eligible criteria of the adoptive parents are very strict. The mother may refuse the adoption, which may amount to termination of the adoption. The next type is the international adoption. As the name implies, international adoption refers to placing a child with an adoptive family who are citizens of another country. Not all countries permit international adoption. Countries that do allow this type of adoption have very strict rules and regulations governing the adoption. In India, for example, domestic adoption is given for the priority. In case of international adoption, non-resident Indians, NRIs, or persons of Indian origins, PIOs, are referred to as foreign nationals. The adoption process for international or inter-country adoption also takes longer time than that for a domestic adoption. Advantages: international adoption may usually happen with orphaned children, and thus both parents may not be involved. There are a wide variety of children to choose from in terms of sex, race, and health and age. There is no difference of birth parents, interference of the birth parents, and once the home approval is received, it increases the chances of adoption tremendously. At disadvantages: this type of adoption is expensive as the adoptive parents are required to travel to foreign lands, and there are chances of frauds and scams in international adoption. If the child is a bit older, he may take considerable time to adjust to a new setting, new country, and a new ways of life. So this is about the international adoption. So what does a child gain from the adoption? Of course, a child gains everything from the adoption: the emotional well-being, the physical well-being, the financial well-being, and everything. Okay, the whole life of the child is settled through adoption, I would say. Okay. So I hope you gained some knowledge about adoption through this video. We saw the definition of adoption, why the child is being adopted, eligible couples to adopt child in India, and the steps for adopting a child. That is, we have about 9 steps. Then registration, home study and counseling, referral of the child, filing of the petition, court hearing, court order, and follow up, and laws governing adoption in India, and types of adoption. We saw the 6 types: open adoption, semi-open adoption, closed adoption, intra-family adoption, and domestic adoption and international adoption. I hope you got some knowledge regarding adoption through this video. Thank you all.